Good evening. This is All India Radio. I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay, and with me Saira Mustafa with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says top priority of his government is to ensure basic facilities for every citizen, visits holy birthplace of Adi Shankaracharya at Kaladi village in Kochi. Prime Minister to commission country's first indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikrant at Cochin Shipyard Limited tomorrow morning. Cabinet Committee on Security approves Tejas Mark II project, sanctions 6,500 crore rupees for designing and developing of the fighter jet. Home Minister launches CAPF's e-Awas web portal in New Delhi, says housing satisfaction rate for CAPF's personnel will go up to 73% by 2024. Rashtriya Poshan Mah begins across India with key focus on Mahila or Swasthya and Bachcha or Siksha. India stresses on the need to work together for stronger recovery and resilience towards climate change and leave no one behind. In Jammu and Kashmir, over 36 Congress leaders, including youth wing leaders from various universities in Jammu, resign. Sri Lankan government and IMF reach preliminary agreement for a loan of $2.9 billion to support country's economic policies. In Japan Open Badminton, Aegis Prannoy enters men's singles quarterfinals, defeating Loh Kin Yew of Singapore. And in Durand Cup football, Jamshedpur FC beat Indian Air Force by 2-1 in Kolkata. Match between Trau FC and Chennaiyin FC underway in Imphal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi began his two-day visit to Kerala and Karnataka today. At a function in Kochi this evening, Mr. Modi addressed a public meeting after arriving at the Cochin International Airport. He said the top priority of his government is to ensure basic facilities for every citizen and to build modern infrastructure. The Prime Minister listed various measures taken by the Union government for the people of Kerala. He said people need to work on the resolve to make India a developed nation during Azadi Ka Amrit Kal.
कुछ दिन पहले ही भारत ने अपनी आजादी के 75 वर्ष पूरे किए हैं। आजादी का अमृत काल भारत को विकसित राष्ट्र बनाने के संकल्प पर काम करने का है और इसमें केरला के परिश्रमी लोगों की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है।
Mr. Modi observed that by adopting the mantra of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas, the government is converting resolutions into accomplishments.
सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास और सबका प्रयास के मंत्र पर चलते भाजपा की सरकार बड़े संकल्पों को सिद्धि में बदल रही है.
Mr. Modi said 2 lakh Pakka houses have been approved for the poor of Kerala under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, of which over 1,30,000 houses have been completed. The Prime Minister also laid the foundation stone for the second phase of the metro project and inaugurated the first phase extension linking Essen Junction and Vadake Kota. He also dedicated to the nation 3 other railway projects. Speaking on the occasion, the Prime Minister said metro systems in the country have contributed towards creating a better environment, reducing carbon footprint and in decongesting of roads.
आज केरला का कोना कोना ओणम के पावन उत्सव की खुशियों से सरोबार है। उत्साह के इस अवसर पर केरला को कनेक्टिविटी से जुड़ी 4,600 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक की परियोजनाओं का उपहार मिला। ईज ऑफ लिविंग और ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस को बढ़ाने वाले इन प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए मैं आप सभी को बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। हम भारतवासियों ने आजादी के अमृत काल यानी आने वाले 25 साल में विकसित भारत के निर्माण का विराट संकल्प लिया। विकसित भारत के इस रोड मैप में आधुनिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का बहुत बड़ा रोल है।
Dedicating projects of the Indian Railways, the Prime Minister said important railway stations have been developed with amenities matching airports. He said the rail connectivity in Kerala has reached a new milestone with the doubling of the entire route from Thiruvananthapuram to Mangalore. With this, a long-standing demand of the Ayappa devotees has been fulfilled. Earlier, the Prime Minister worshipped at the Adi Shankara Janmabhoomi Kshetram at Kaladi, the birthplace of Adi Shankaracharya. Tomorrow morning, the Prime Minister will attend the commissioning ceremony of the first indigenous aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant, at the Cochin shipyard, the largest ship ever built in the maritime history of the country. He will also unveil the new naval ensign of the Indian Navy. The Prime Minister said in a tweet that the 2nd of September is a landmark day for India's efforts to become Atmanirbhar in the defence sector. The Prime Minister will reach Mangaluru in the afternoon to inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of various projects. Mr. Modi has said he is looking forward to being among the people of Mangaluru. He said key projects worth 3,800 crore rupees will be inaugurated or the foundation stones will be laid. More from a Bengaluru correspondent.
During the visit of Prime Minister to Mangaluru, he will be laying the foundation stone for the integrated liquid petroleum gas and bulk liquid petroleum oil and lubricant facility at Mangalore Refinery and Petrochemicals Limited. Foundation will also be laid for the storage tanks and edible oil refinery, bitumen storage and allied facilities. He will later dedicate to the nation BS6 upgradation project and seawater desalination plant of Mangalore Refinery and Petrochemicals Limited. He will also lay the foundation stone for a fishing harbour at Kulai. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
The Cabinet Committee on Security has approved Tejas Mark II project. The committee has sanctioned 6,500 crore rupees for designing and developing of Tejas Mark II fighter jet with prototypes, flight testing and certification. The allocation comes in addition to the existing 2,500 crore rupees sanctioned to HAL. The advanced version of Tejas LCA will feature a series of additions to its flight and fight capabilities. Tejas 2.0 will be equipped with more powerful GE F414 engines in the 98 kN thrust class, which will allow it to extend its flight range and carry additional payload and weapons as compared to the existing version. The payload capacity of the Tejas Mark II jet will be 4 tons as compared to 3 tons of the existing version. In addition to this, the new jet will also be equipped with an indigenously developed Active Electronically Scanned Array or AESA radar, which will be a major upgrade from the existing ELTA's ELM-2032 multi-mode radar. Speaking to a news agency, IAF Chief Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary said, Tejas Mark II will fill a critical capability void. He said, therefore, it is essential that all stakeholders should need to work in tandem to ensure the timely induction of this aircraft into the Indian Air Force.
In the view of the rapidly depleting strength of fighter squadrons of the Indian Air Force and phasing out of the MiG-21 aircraft in the coming years, it is essential that laid down timelines for the projects have to be strictly adhered to. Tejas Mark II will fill a critical capability void, and therefore it is very essential that all stakeholders should need to work in tandem to ensure timely induction of this aircraft into the Indian Air Force.
A multilateral strategic and command exercise, Vostok 2022, has commenced today at the training grounds of the Eastern Military District of Russia. It will continue up to the 7th of this month. The exercise is aimed at interaction and coordination amongst other participating military contingents and observers. The Indian Army contingent, comprising of troops from 7-8 Gorkha Rifles, had arrived at the exercise location and over the next 7 days will undertake joint maneuvers to include joint field training exercises, combat discussions and firepower exercises.
Home Minister Amit Shah today launched the Central Armed Police Forces e-Awaaz web portal in New Delhi today. Speaking on the occasion, the Home Minister said, till now there was such a system in CAPF that only the force for which the houses were built were made available to them, due to which thousands of houses were left vacant. Mr. Shah said vacant accommodation would be available to the personnel of other CAPFs from the e-Awaaz portal. He said with the efforts of the Modi government, the housing satisfaction rate, which was 33% in 2014, will go up to 73% by 2024. Mr. Shah said the Central Armed Police Forces have always been a strong pillar of the country's internal security. He said since the independence till date, more than 35,000 police personnel have lost their lives while ensuring internal security, and due to the sacrifices, citizens sleep in peace with a sense of security.
सीएपीएफ के हमारे जवान हमेशा हमारी आंतरिक सुरक्षा का बहुत मजबूत और जरूरी पिल्लर रहे हैं और मैं निश्चित रूप से मानता हूं कि आज देश के अंदर विकास का नया एक युग जो शुरू हुआ है, भारत पूरी दुनिया में उत्पादन का केंद्र बनने जा रहा है। इसमें आंतरिक सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करने वाले हमारे सीएपीएफ के जवानों का बहुत बड़ा योगदान है।
The Home Minister said government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi believes that it is its responsibility to care for the families of Jawans who protect the nation's borders in difficult circumstances so that they can serve the country without worry. Ministry of Women and Child Development is celebrating the 5th Rashtriya Poshan Maah 2022 across the nation from today till the 30th of September. This year, the objective of the Poshan Maah is to trigger Poshan Maah through Gram Panchayats as Poshan Panchayats with key focus on Mahila or Swastha and Bachcha or Siksha. Rashtriya Poshan Maah serves as a platform to bring focus to the discourse of nutrition and good health. In the 5th Rashtriya Poshan Maah, the aim is to convert Jan Andolan into Jan Bhagidari to fulfill the Prime Minister's vision of a Suposhit Bharat. Our correspondent reports that the Prime Minister's overarching scheme for holistic nutrition, Poshan Abhiyan, is government's flagship program to improve nutritional outcomes for children under 6 years, adolescent girls, pregnant women and lactating mothers. Here is the report.
During the Poshan Maah, intensive activities were organized for creating awareness about nutrition with a special focus on pregnant and lactating women, children below 6 years, and adolescent girls to realize the vision of Swasth Bharat. At the Panchayat level, awareness drives on Anganwadi services and good health practices will be organized. With a view to bring more beneficiaries under the ambit of Anganwadi services, growth measurement drives will be conducted. Besides, health camps for anemia checkups will also be held at Anganwadi centers for adolescent girls. Under the state level activities, Amma Ke Rasoi or Grandmother's Kitchen of traditional nutritious recipes will be organized. Extensive efforts will be made to link traditional foods with local festivals during the month. Anand Kumar, AIR News, Delhi.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi had launched the program from Jhunjhunu in Rajasthan on 8 March 2018. Focusing on the aims of Poshan Abhiyan, the government has launched Mission Poshan 2.0 as an integrated nutrition support program.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says top priority of his government is to ensure basic facilities for every citizen. Visits holy birthplace of Adi Shankaracharya at Kaladi village in Kochi. Prime Minister to commission country's first indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikrant at Cochin Shipyard Limited tomorrow morning. Cabinet Committee on Security approves Tejas Mark II project. Sanctions 6,500 crore rupees for designing and developing of the fighter jet. Home Minister launches CAPF's e-Awas web portal in New Delhi, says housing satisfaction rate for CAPF's personnel will go up to 73% by 2024. Rashtriya Poshan Maah begins across India with key focus on Mahila or Swasthya and Bachcha or Shiksha. India stresses on the need to work together for stronger recovery and resilience towards climate change and leave no one behind. In Jammu and Kashmir, over 36 Congress leaders, including youth wing leaders from various universities in Jammu, resign. Sri Lankan government and IMF reached preliminary agreement for a loan of $2.9 billion to support the country's economic policies. In Japan Open Badminton, HS Prannoy enters men's singles quarterfinals, defeating Loh Khaen Yew of Singapore. And in Durand Cup football, Jamshedpur FC beat Indian Air Force by 2-1 in Kolkata. Chennai FC defeat Rao FC by 4-1 in Imphal. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter @AIR News Alerts.
उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का सुलभ और सस्ता माध्यम है आकाशवाणी।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न केंद्रों से कीजिए अपने उत्पादों और सेवाओं का प्रचार विज्ञापनों के माध्यम से।
लोकल और राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर कीजिए अपने बिजनेस का विस्तार, क्योंकि आकाशवाणी में विज्ञापन बुकिंग हुई बहुत ही आसान।
अब घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे आप कर सकते हैं विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
डायल कीजिए 870-001-4242।
नंबर एक बार फिर नोट करें, 870-001-4242।
बर्फ से ढके पहाड़,
हवा के साथ झूमते चीड़ चिनार,
झीलों पर तैरते शिकारे,
हरी भरी घाटियों के दिलकश नजारे।
आकाशवाणी समाचार आपके लिए लेकर आया है जम्मू कश्मीर विशेष श्रृंखला एक नई सुबह।
हम बात करते हैं विकास की, निवेश की,
पर्यटन की, संस्कृति की
और रोज हो रहे बदलावों की। FM गोल्ड पर सुनिए हर शुक्रवार रात 9:15 पर आकाशवाणी समाचार की विशेष प्रस्तुति
जम्मू कश्मीर एक नई सुबह।
Welcome back to the evening news. Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav has asserted that any initiative to address the contemporary environmental challenge should be on the basis of equity and principle of common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities. He said climate change is a global phenomenon, but its negative impacts are severe on the poor and the vulnerable, especially in the developing countries. Mr. Yadav was addressing the G20 Joint Environment and Climate Ministers meeting in Bali today. The minister said climate change phenomenon is deeply unfair, as those from developing countries who contributed least to it will be more severely hit by its impact. Mr. Yadav stressed on the need to work together for stronger recovery and resilience across the globe, leaving no one behind. He said that this is at the heart of the 2030 agenda of sustainable development. He also cited Prime Minister Narendra Modi's mantra of lifestyle for environment for sustainable development. In Jammu and Kashmir, over 36 Congress leaders, including leaders of the National Students Union of India, NSUI, the youth wing of the Congress Party, from various universities in Jammu, have resigned. The resignations tendered in solidarity with former Congress leader Ghulam Nabi Azad, who recently announced his exit from the party. EIR correspondent reports that among those who resigned include State Vice President Anirudh Raina and State General Secretary Manik Sharma. The leaders submitted their resignations to party interim president Sonia Gandhi. The development follows the mass resignations from J&K unit of the Congress Party in support of Ghulam Nabi Azad. 64 senior Congress leaders, including former J&K Deputy Chief Minister Tara Chand, resigned from the party on Tuesday in support of Mr. Azad.
The BJP today took a dig at Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal over his remarks that AAP's vote share is up by 4% in Gujarat since the raid on Deputy CM Manish Sisodia. Talking to reporters in New Delhi, party spokesperson Sambit Patra said if that is the case, then Mr. Kejriwal should himself send Mr. Sisodia to jail, as it will further increase the AAP vote. Terming his comments as drama, Mr. Patra said people understand it.
आप ये जो आबकारी नीति पर जिस प्रकार से आप ड्रामा कर रहे हैं, ये जो ऑपरेशन ड्रामा चल रहा है, ये हिंदुस्तान की जनता समझ नहीं पा रही है। ये हिंदुस्तान की जनता भली प्रकार से समझ रही है और हम केवल और केवल जो 5 सवाल अभी पूछे, इन 5 सवालों के जवाब मनीष सिसोदिया जी से चाहते हैं।
Delhi Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena has said that abiding by the Constitution and his duties towards the people of Delhi, he flagged the issues of grave anomalies in excise policy. He said it was later withdrawn by the cabinet headed by Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal himself. In a series of tweets, Mr. Saxena said he also raised an inordinate delay of 2.5 years in acting on the CVC report on irregularities in the construction of classrooms in Delhi government schools. He added, files were not signed by Mr. Kejriwal and CAG audits were not conducted timely in state universities.
The National Investigation Agency has announced 25 lakh rupees cash reward for giving information about underworld gangster Dawood Ibrahim. The agency also announced a reward of 20 lakh rupees on Dawood's associate Chota Shakil. A bounty of 15 lakh rupees each has been placed for his 3 other aides. The NIA said Dawood Ibrahim and others are working in active collaboration with international terrorist organization Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Al-Qaeda. They are involved in various terrorism and criminal activities, including arms smuggling, narco-terrorism, underworld criminal syndicate, money laundering, circulation of FICN, and unauthorized possession of key assets for raising terror funds. The Sri Lankan government and International Monetary Fund IMF have reached a preliminary agreement for a loan of $2.9 billion to support country's economic policies with 48-month arrangement and extended fund facility. The IMF said Sri Lanka's new fund-supported program aims to restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability. It also aims at safeguarding financial stability, protecting the vulnerable, and stepping up structural reforms to address corruption, vulnerabilities, and unlock growth potential. The agreement is subject to approval by IMF management and its executive board.
Over the past 75 years since independence, India's largest public service broadcaster, All India Radio, has been the proverbial storyteller for the 1.3 billion citizens across the country. All India Radio is celebrating 75 years of freedom with the series Azad Bharat Ki Baat Akashvani ke Saath. It showcases the journey of India since independence in various walks of life through the storytelling of All India Radio. In today's episode, we bring you the story of Bharatnam Awardees from 1954 to 1963.
The highest civilian award in India is the Bharat Ratna Award, which was instituted in the year 1954. It is awarded for exceptional public service and performance of the highest order in any field of human activity. This award is presented by the President of India. So far, 48 eminent personalities have been honoured with Bharat Ratna. The first Bharat Ratna Award was conferred on C. Rajagopalachari in 1954.
I am Rajagopalachari and I am speaking from Madras All India Radio Broadcasting Station. I have been given the honor of inaugurating this Hindustan Akashvani in Madras. When anyone speaks, the vibrations taking shape according to each articulated sound are transmitted across the air and touching the membrane in the ear, set it in corresponding vibrations, which in turn produce changes in the brain that give us a perception of what our friend is saying.
Along with Rajaji, philosopher Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan was also awarded.
The great point about Indian thought was that it was subject to renewal in every stage. We had Indian thought in the Vedas is one thing, the Upanishads is quite different. You come to the Buddhist and Gita works, different altogether. Then you come to the commentators, Shankara, Ramananda, etc., quite different. Then when you had a number of saint singers like Kabir, Ramananda, etc., who were trying to help us to find out common background of all these religions. It is said to be unity in diversity. Different cultures, different peoples, different religions are getting together. And Indian thought essentially emphasized what you call the saintliness of man.
Nobel laureate scientist C.V. Raman too was honoured in the same year.
The mind, you must keep it fresh, don't fog the mind with all sorts of things. And then the spirit, you see, behind the mind is also the spirit. The spirit is, the word spirit means really, elan, you know what I mean? It's the thing that behind the mind there is something that makes the thing go on.
In 1955, activist, philosopher and educationist Bhagwan Das, Dr. M. Vishveshwaraya, civil engineer, statesman and Diwan of Mysore, and Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru were given the award. In 1957, Govind Ballabh Pant, activist and first Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, was honoured. In 1958, Dhondo Keshav Karve, social reformer and educator, was given the award. In 1961, Vidhan Chandra Roy, physician, political leader, philanthropist, educationist and social worker, and Purushottam Das Tandon, activist, Speaker of the United Provinces Legislative Assembly, were honoured. In 1962, the award was conferred on Dr. Rajendra Prasad, activist, lawyer, statesman, scholar and first President of India. In 1963, Dr. Zakir Hussain, economist, philosopher, former Vice Chancellor of Aligarh Muslim University and the Governor of Bihar, was honoured.
Information and skill are not synonymous with education. I will take that risk, for I mean what I have said. Indeed, information and skill are not even reliable measures of education. In order to make them serviceable as such, we must make a distinction. Information, as you can easily see, can be of two kinds. It can be knowledge acquired by someone else by his own mental effort and passed on to us as ready-made information. Or it can be knowledge acquired by us through our own experience, knowledge that has grown in our mind by its own efforts.
In tomorrow's episode, we will bring you the story of Bharatnam Awardees from the year 1966 to 1990. Azad Bharat Ki Baat Akashvani Ke Saath can be accessed on Twitter at AIR News Alerts, News on AIR official YouTube channel, News on AIR app, Facebook and Instagram handles. So tune in to All India Radio News for Azad Bharat Ki Baat Akashvani Ke Saath. Senior Indian Information Service Officer Dr. Vasudha Gupta assumed charge as Director General of News Services Division of All India Radio today. A 1989 batch officer, Dr. Vasudha Gupta, has served in various capacities in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting in her over 32-year-long career. Before her appointment as DG NSD AIR, she was serving as Director General, Press Information Bureau.
The Department of Pharmaceuticals has conveyed in-principle approval to the proposals of the three states, Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh, under the Scheme for Promotion of Bulk Drugs Park, a key initiative to support the bulk drugs manufacturing in the country. The scheme, with a financial outlay of 3,000 crore rupees, notified in 2020, provides for financial assistance to 3 states for establishing bulk drug parks. It aims to bring down the cost of manufacturing of bulk drugs by creation of world-class common infrastructure facilities supported by the central government and thereby increase the competitiveness of the domestic bulk drug industry. Camilo Guevara March, the 60-year-old son of Argentine-born revolutionary leader Ernesto Che Guevara, has died. Cuban officials said that he died of a heart attack caused by blood clots in his lungs. Camilo Guevara dedicated much of his career to documenting the life of his father, who fought alongside Fidel Castro in the Cuban Revolution. He opposed the use of his father's image, made famous by Alberto Korda photograph, for marketing purposes.
On to sports now. In Japan Open Badminton, ace shuttler H.S. Pranoy defeated world number 7 and 2021 world champion Loh Keen-yew 22-20, 21-19 to enter men's singles quarterfinals. He will take on World Championships bronze medalist Xiao Tianchen in the quarterfinal. However, Kidambi Srikanth crashed out of the tournament, losing to Japan's Kanta Tsuneyama in a hard-fought match 10-21, 16-21 in the round of 16 today. In Durand Cup football, Jamshedpur FC beat Indian Air Force FT by 2-1 at Kishore Bharti Kridangan in Kolkata. In the second match of the day, Chennai Yin FC defeated Trao FC by 4-1 at Kuman Lampak Stadium in Imphal.
The Sensex and the Nifty today fell more than 1%. Both stock indices fell amid negative cues from the global share markets. A report from the business desk.
The Sensex declined 770 points to finish at 58,767. The Nifty fell 217 points to end at 17,543. At the Forex market, rupee weakened 10 paise to 79 rupees and 56 paise against the dollar. At the multi-commodity exchange, gold was trading at 50,025 rupees per 10 grams. Silver was trading at 51,705 rupees per kilogram, and Brent crude oil price fell around 1.5% in intraday trade. Brent crude was trading at $94.10 per barrel. This is Lalema Aneja Dang for AIR News.
In cricket, Bangladesh were 136 for 4 in 15.5 overs against Sri Lanka in the Asia Cup T20 at Dubai International Cricket Stadium when reports last came in. Earlier, Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to field. A team of scientists has unearthed in Zimbabwe the remains of Africa's oldest dinosaur, which lived more than 230 million years ago. The Birasaurus rati was 1 meter tall, ran on 2 legs and had a long neck and jagged teeth. Scientists said it was a species of sauropodomorph, a relative of the sauropod which walked on 4 legs.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi is expected to have a generally cloudy sky. Mumbai is likely to have rain or thunder showers towards the evening or night. Kolkata will have a partly cloudy sky with light rain. Chennai will likely have thunderstorm with rain. In the south, Hyderabad will experience a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Bengaluru and Thiruvananthapuram will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. In the northeast, Guwahati will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Imphal, Aizawl, Shillong, Gangtok, Kohima and Itanagar will have a partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says top priority of his government is to ensure basic facilities for every citizen. Visits holy birthplace of Adi Shankaracharya at Kaladi village in Kochi. Prime Minister to commission country's first indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikrant at Cochin Shipyard Limited tomorrow morning. Cabinet Committee on Security approves Tejas Mark II project, sanctions 6,500 crore rupees for designing and developing of the fighter jet. Home Minister launches CAPF's e-Awas web portal in New Delhi, says housing satisfaction rate for CAPF's personnel will go up to 73% by 2024. Rashtriya Poshan Mah begins across India with key focus on Mahila or Swasth and Bachcha or Siksha. India stresses on the need to work together for stronger recovery and resilience towards climate change and leave no one behind. In Jammu and Kashmir, over 36 Congress leaders, including youth wing leaders from various universities in Jammu, resign. Sri Lankan government and IMF reached preliminary agreement for a loan of $2.9 billion to support country's economic policies. And in Durand Cup football, Jamshedpur FC beat Indian Air Force by 2-1 in Kolkata. Chennai FC defeat Trau FC by 4-1 in Imphal. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.